So first thing is you have to log in. You can log into AWS using root user or using IAM user. But the ideal practice of logging into AWS accounts is using the non-root user. It is not advised to use the root user. Why it is not advised to use a root user? Because root user has all the privileges. Sometimes unexpectedly you may do some unintended actions, right? So it is not advisable to use root user. Okay. So what we will do now, first thing we will do is let us create one non-root user and let us try to use that. What I will do is let me quickly create one more EC2 instance. Before that, I told right, like for creating any AWS resources, it is not advisable to use root user. So what I will do, I will go to IAM and I will create one user. Yeah, I will go to access management. Under that, I will go to users, and inside that we have one user which we have created in the last session. So let me create one more user. Let me say non-root one, and I will give both programmatic access and console access. I will give some password to this user. Second, I will let me give some simple password because however AWS will force me to change that password, right? Because here, right, when you click on this checkbox, users must create a new password at the next sign in. So whatever the password I give it here, that would be only temporary. So I'm giving some simple password so that I will change in the next login. And it is asking us to give the permissions. It is asking whether if you want to add that user to group or whether you want to copy permissions from the existing users or you want to add existing policies directly. So what I will do is I will simply go to next and I will let me add the existing policies only. Here, let me, these are tags are like, we create many AWS resources in the AWS account, right? When we want to search for that resources quickly, these tags will help us. So let's say that we have resources created in dev environment, production environment, and some other UAT environment. If you want to search for resources quickly by using any tags, this would be pretty much useful. I think you have heard about this tagging. That's where, like, if there is any like if there is any event going on in Twitter and or if there is any if anyone is fighting for cause, they use hashtags and all because that will help in the search, right? So similar to that, here we have tags which is of key value pairs. So here I'm giving as username and I'm giving as root non-root one. Let me give as non-root one. And I'm giving one more key, that is purpose. This user is for only practice, right? This user is for practice. Clicking on next, and the permission summary we didn't give any other permissions, okay? But as of now, let me save and let me come back and give add more permissions. Yeah, I created a user called non-root user one, right? So let me again search for IAM. This time under the user sections, you will be seeing two users because just now we have added one more user, right, with non-root one. Okay. Yeah, so this is the URL which we have to use for logging for the non-root user. So if you click on this users, you could see, right, the user we have created just now, it's being displayed here. And if you look at like AWS is very good. It is giving it is providing a lot of information related to the users. If you look at these columns, it is saying that the user doesn't belong to any groups. And if you look at the last activities, it is showing never, because we didn't use, right? And it is looking at the password age, we just now created, right? So it is saying as now. Because we can set some password policies, or we can set some password expiration policies, so that user is forced to reset the password every now and then, because there could be a chance that the users could have stolen by someone and they misuse, right?
Could you please repeat after that a little bit?
Yeah, sure, Ruchi. So you are able to see my screen, right, Ruchi?
Yeah.
Okay. So here, whatever the user we have created just now, that is visible in the IAM user sections. If you go to IAM service, under that we have users, right? So AWS is showing the all the list of users that we have created. Okay. And Bill Manager is a user that has been created on the last session, right? So non-root user one is a user which we have created just now, and it is showing various columns, right? Like groups. Since this user didn't belong to any groups, it is showing as none. And you could see, right? You it is showing the last activity as well. It is showing the last activity as never, and it is showing like did we enable multi-factor authentication for these users? No, we didn't enable. That's the reason showing as none. So what is the age of this password? It is none. Sorry, it is now, just now, right? So it is showing us now. So some we can enable or we can force the user to change their password every now and then. So we can set some expiration policy on for the passwords or for the users. So that will enforce them to change the passwords in regular interval, because sometimes what happens is users may have leaked their passwords, or or someone may have stolen their passwords or hacked their passwords. And when you have the habit of changing the passwords frequently, we could strengthen the security, right? So that's where we could enable that. Or we even let's say even you didn't enable any policy, but when you can come here and you can sort it, right? You can sort it and you can see, right? When I'm sorting in the ascending order and descending order, the items are being sorted whenever I click on this sort option, right? So let's say someone has not changed the passwords more than 100 days, like I can come here and I can click on this password age and I can sort it. And I can sort it based on the descending order, like whoever are exceeding more than 90 users, maybe I can notify them manually, or we could set some policies as well. So active key usage. So and I need to tell you something. For every resource which we create in Amazon, there is something called Amazon resource name. So just like we use Facebook and we will have a separate user ID, right? So in the same way, in for whatever the users we create, we will have one user ID, right? But the thing is that the user ID unique across all accounts? No, right? User ID is not unique across all accounts. So just like me, I have created one account called Omkar Management account. You may have created one more account called Ruchi Management account, and you may have created one more user with the same name, like non-root one. So is there a rule that users' name should not actually collide with each other, or no one can create the user with the same username which someone has created? No, because users are within the account only, right? So Amazon resource name will actually distinguish one resource from the other resource. So that's the reason. If you look at the pattern, it started with ARN colon AWS and followed by the AWS service. So we are this particular resource belongs to IAM, right? And inside the service we have the account name. It is telling the resource belongs to which account. And here the user type, the resource type is of user, right? So it is there, it is mentioning the resource type as well, and the username is non-root one, right? So this way we could distinguish any resource with other resource by looking at the AWS ARN only. What is the full form of ARN? AWS resource name. Okay. So now what I will do is, let me go ahead and log in to the AWS account using this non-root user. Okay. But to log in to the non-root user, I could make use of this URL, right? But right, I mean, remembering this particular URL is difficult. I mean, if you bookmark it somewhere, that's okay, but if you don't bookmark it, what will happen? You have to remember this complete URL. You have to remember the account ID. So I don't want my users to struggle remembering this account ID and all. So let me, what I can do is I can customize this alias for my account. So let me say that Omkar DCT management. I'm creating this as management account. I will tell the reasons in the upcoming sessions, but okay. But what it is saying, like in the this alert, it is saying that IAM users will still be able to use a default URL. I mean, they can use this URL, or they can use this URL, or the URL with the account ID. So now let me click on create. Yeah, now see, I can use this URL, which is user friendly. So now what I will do is I will open a incognito tab and I will try to log in using the incognito tab. Okay. Here we can enter the account ID or account alias. The it has taken the account alias by default. The reason is we mentioned the account alias in the URL only, right? That's the reason it is able to infer the account ID by the URL. And what is the IAM username? Non-root one, right? And the password is, I gave some simple password, because however it will ask me to change the password in the subsequent login, right, or the first login. Your authentication is incorrect. Let me see if this user is correct or not. This is a username. Yeah, looks like username is correct. Maybe I have forgot the password. Let's see. Yeah, it's correct. So now it is forcing me to change the password. Why it is forcing me to change the password? While creating the user account, there is a checkbox called force the user to change the password on the first login. We have enabled that. Maybe you have missed that, but since we have enabled that, it is forcing us to change the password on the first login, because admin can't know all the passwords of all the users, right? So whoever has created, they will just pass on the user ID and the initial password to you, and the user can change the password. Sometimes user may forget to change the password, right? So it helps us to enforce the user to change the password in the first login. Sometimes password could have been shared in email as well, so that's the reason these options will help us a lot. Let's say that you have requested for AWS user creation, and you have CC'd your manager and all, and they created the user for you, and they have sent you in the email. Now whoever are in the email, they can see the user and the password, right? So this enforcement will actually help you, like will remind you to change the password and the first login, so that your password is not known to anyone except you. Okay. Now we logged in with what is the user we logged in with? We logged in with non-root user. We didn't log in with root user. Here you are seeing, right? IAM user equal to non-root one, and the account is the same. We could create as many as users as we wish to create in the our account. Okay. So let me see here. Let me using the non-root user. Let me try to create a virtual machine. You are able to hear me, right, Ruchi?
Yes.
Yeah. So, like I told, right? So, whatever the resources we create in AWS, it will be created in one region, right? So that we could see in the top right. So here we are in the Ohio, but I want to create in US East one region, North Virginia region, because I found that whatever the resources we create in US one region are comparatively cost friendly. Like if they charge $5 for one service, same service in a different region, they may charge something like $4 or $4.5, because AWS has initially started with this region, and usually comparatively AWS charges some low amount than the other region. So that's the reason I have chosen North Virginia region. And here, as I told, I don't want to, for creating an virtual machine in AWS, you have to choose image. You have to choose Amazon machine image. So this Amazon machine image is like the have you ever heard of what is image, OS image and all?
CH or
No, have you ever heard of what is meant by OS image?
no? I haven't.
Okay. So OS image is like the logical gathering of all the information required to create an virtual machine. So like if you create any AMI, it will create a physical version of that AMI for you. Let's say I have chosen this particular Red Hat. So it will this AMI is not an actually a virtual machine, but this provides a blueprint. Whenever you create an EC2 instance with this, it will inherit the behavior of this particular AMI. Just like I am trying to give an example, in Java you have might heard of class and object. Classes, whereas a class is a logical entity and uh, object is a physical entity, right? So just like that, you need some blueprint, right, before creating an EC2 instance, at least the initial configuration. So here I don't want to go with the paid EMIs, because I want to create all my resources using the free tier account. So I am clicking on free tier only, and I'm clicking on what is that? This time let's select Amazon Linux free tier eligible. Last time we have chosen Red Hat, right? This time let's select Amazon Linux to AMI. Select again. An error occurred. Okay. What is the error you are here seeing here, Ruchi? You are saying it is saying that you are not authorized to perform this operation.
Yes.
Why we are not authorized? Any guesses? Yeah.
Because we are not the admin here.
Yes. So even though we are not the admin, how we can get the access?
By getting some permissions from the admin.
Exactly. So now the reason I didn't give all the permissions is I want to show you the error. So this way we can control all the users. Every user is by default not allowed to ever do everything. So let me select. Now I am in root. I have switched on to the root user, and I will click on this non-root one, and I will try to add some permissions. Click on add permissions. Okay. So here let me search for EC2. Okay. So this is Amazon EC2 full access, right? Let me give the full access to this user. Okay. Now we are adding this particular policy to this user. Let me see what is this policy. So if it is EC2 is not only the virtual machine in AWS, EC2 is a service as well. Like you can consider that service as an umbrella, bigger umbrella. Under that, you may have various types of resources. So under EC2 EC2 service, we can see that EC2 instance is also one of the resources, and we can also see few other resources under the EC2 service. Something like, so I have opened the Amazon EC2 full access policy. So here you are seeing multiple statements within this policy, right? So like it is saying that you can create any resources under the like you can create any resources or all the actions starting with elastic load balancer allowed for any resources. So here almost everything is allowed whichever is related to the EC2. See here
What
it
does
is.
this mean, elastic load balancing?
We will talk about this, Ruchi. Elastic load balancer
Okay.
is nothing but in AWS world we call the load balancers as elastic load balancers. Again, I told you about what is elastic in the previous session, if you remember, right? For everything they add
Mm.
that prefix called elastic to denote that their resources can shrink and what is that? The opposite word of shrink and stretch
Grow.
dynamically. Yeah,
Grow.
grow. Yeah, shrink and grow dynamically. So it is saying that if you take if you EC2 dot star, in the sense it is saying that you could perform all actions on EC2 dot star is allowed. Okay, so you could, if you don't understand how these policies are written, you could remember the simple rule. You just remember the word called years. We have years, right? So we have years in the sense you EAR, right? So E is effect, A is action, R is resource. Okay, so in the E tells about whether our action is allowed or not. Effect tells about it could be either allow or deny. In this case, it is effect. And in the case of action, it will tell about what kind of actions we can do on the resources. Okay, something like maybe something like uh, I will give you one example. We when we have kids, usually we have some kind of we have some rights to do on our kids, right? Even though let's say our kids are the resources, we could have some rights to do some on the kids. Maybe like you maybe if you if you are very angry, maybe you may beat them. But if the same thing is done by others, that is not accepted usually. So you can assume that resource like kids as one of the resources, and the effect allow or deny. If I say maybe like EC2 maybe like kids dot here, I can say that kids dot star, that means that all actions are allowed. So here I may say allow. So this policy I may attach to only parents. Okay, and let's say that for teachers or for the like maybe like for the kids mentors, we don't want to allow all the actions on our kids, right? So maybe what we could do is the same policy could be rewritten as something like this. Just trying to give an example. In policy, this is one of the statement. So here, who are resources? Let me say kids, and let me say that here parents can do all actions. So let's say that this is, I will create this policy as uh, kids all allow policy, and I will allow this policy. I will attach this policy to which users I will attach to parents, and I need one more. I will create one more policy for the sake of mentors or for the sake of the kids teachers. So for the same resources, maybe I don't want the kids mentors or teachers to perform all the actions on the kids. So here I will mention as, sorry, here it should be not parents dot star, but it should be action kids not star, kids colon star. So here it would be resource would be kid only, but here I would say that kids.
But then how it is attached to the parents?
Okay. Here, let's say that I will create two users called mother and father, and I will attach this policy. this particular policy. I will give all the rights, and I will create one more few more users called teachers, teacher 1, teacher 2, teacher 3, and I will attach this policy.
So, yeah. So, how do we attach it? I mean, that's what I
Okay,
meant.
okay. So yeah, that we are going to do right now,
Because
right?
you remove the parents, right?
Okay, okay.
And the
I'm going to say
action.
that, Ruchi. So this is one existing policy, right? This is one existing policy. So now what I am doing,
Yeah.
I'll just go back and show. I went to non-root one user. I will say click on add permissions. Okay. And here I will say attach existing policies directly. So here whatever the policies I want, I will attach the users to the users directly. EC to full access. In the same way, you will attach this first policy to only the parents, only to either mother or father. I will attach this policy to the other kind of users like teachers, mentors, and all. Okay. So here what I'm
Got it.
doing is I'm clicking on next. So what will happen? It will try to attach the user. Here we are seeing a permission summary, right? We are trying to add Amazon EC2 full access to the non-root one user. Yeah, now you could see, right, either for earlier for non-root one user we had only one permission attached, that is IAM user change password. Now we have attached one more policy. Now did you get understand the Ruchi difference? It's something like users and policies are completely two different entities, Ruchi. We are just mapping it.
Yeah.
We are just mapping it. Okay. So here you could assume that instead of creating single policy with two statements, here we will create this as a separate policy and this as a separate policy. So this policy will attach to here we will say only mentor policy. It's mentor allow. This policy will attach to all the mentors of the kids. This policy will attach to the parents. Okay. So you just remember
Okay.
this mnemonic called EAR, year, effect, action, resource. Effect tells about allow or deny. Action tells about what all things we are allowed to do. I mean, what all things whether we are allowed to do or denied to do based on the effect. Okay, and the resource is that this effect is action, and we should have a subject, right, on which we are performing this, giving these permissions. So here the resource could change based on our requirement. So when you try to create your custom policies, you will try to understand more, Ruchi. See, that's where I'm recommending you to practice enough, so that when you create custom policies, you will understand more. So now what we have done, we have attached one permission called Amazon EC2 full access. Now what the non-root user one should be able to do, he should be able to create one EC2 instance. Let me switch to the non-root one user management console, and here let me try to click on select once again. Yeah, this time I was able to select. I think you know the reason, right? We gave him the required permissions. Okay. Next, review and launch. So it has given the basic details, the initial configuration details in the review instance launch page. Instance details,
Yeah.
storage. By default, it has attached one EBS volume, Ruchi. So I told about EBS volume in the last session. EBS volume can be attached to how many EC2 instances? Elastic Block Storage
Uh,
volume.
you think ABS can be attached to many?
No, EBS volume can be attached to only
That's
one EC2 instance.
okay.
Okay. So whatever let's say I'm using this particular volume, and tomorrow I want to attach it to some other instance. So what I need to do, I need to detach from this EC2 instance, and I need to attach it to the other instance which I want to attach. Yeah, it is saying that your instance are now launching. So let me click on this. So what is the instance state? Right now it is pending. Here you could see, right, under AWS Compute Optimizer finding, it is saying that non-root one user is not authorized to perform get enrollment status on the resource. So this is the action, Ruchi. Okay, this is the action the user is not able to perform. The non-root user is not able to perform on the EC2 instance. So once we give the required policy to him, we don't get this error. Okay. Now you could see, right, the status has changed to running. And let me tell you one more thing. Here we have this public IP, right? We have this public IP address. So will this be constant to this EC2 instance? Any guesses? Okay. So here you see the private IP address, right? Ending with 57, and public IP address with ending with 109. Let me restart this. Let me stop and start this instance, and let's see what would happen. Private IP ending with 57 and public IP ending with 109. What I will do, I'll click on stop instance. Yeah, what is the status it is showing? The instance is getting stopped right now. Let me refresh the screen. Yeah, it is still trying to stop. Yeah, it is still trying to stop. Let me click on this. I think, yeah, the instance is stopped successfully now. So here you have the private IP with the same IP, right? But do you see the public IP here? No, right? Here you don't see the public IP. Let me again start this instance. Let me refresh again. It is in the pending status. Let me refresh here. So this time our instance is created in which availability zone? East 1E availability zone. I told, right, in US East 1 is our region. Under that region we may have multiple availability zones, and our EC2 instance will be created in one of the availability zones. So okay, now right now I think our instance is launched, I guess. Let me see the state. Yeah. Now you could see this, right, Ruchi. Whenever I'm trying to start the EC2 instance, it is assigning one more public IP address. But is the previous IP public IP and the current IP same? No, because whenever we restart the EC2 instance, whenever we shut down and start the EC2 instance, whenever we stop it, is like AWS will revoke the public IP address from that machine, and whenever we start it, it will allocate one of the available public IP addresses to it. So this will be continuously changing. Private IP address is something which is constant. You could see, right? It is still ending with 57. Even when you stop it, the private IP remained constant. They didn't revoke our private IP, but whereas public IP, they have revoked our public IP, and as soon as we started, now it is 71, right? So if you want, I can stop it and start it again. Do you want to see that again, or did you understand, Ruchi?
No, I think I got it. The private will remain the same, right? And the public will.
Yeah,
keep on changing
yeah, keep on
every time
changing.
we start.
They will revoke our public IP address as soon as we stop the EC2 instance. Okay, and here I told about status checks, right? Where is the status checks? Let me refresh again. Here I'm not seeing the status checks. So status checks is initializing. So I told, right, in the status, when you click on the status checks, how many types of status checks we have? One is system status checks. The other is instance status checks. System instance status checks is nothing about the underlying hardware. It will check whether the hardware is good or not, and the instance status is all about, it will check whether our VM is good or not. So when all the checks are fine, it will show as 2 by 2. When no checks are done,
What will instance track? Sorry.
it will tell the health. It will tell the health of our EC2 instance, Ruchi. Our VM, our virtual machine, whichever we have created. Okay, so if this instance, let's say that system status check is not good. Okay, it is showing as unhealthy. So can we do anything for system status check fail? No, we can't do anything, because are we provisioning the hardware, underlying hardware? No, it is being done by AWS, right? So we can report to AWS. Okay, but if it is instance status checks, are we responsible? Yes, to some extent we are responsible. Why we are the reason? Because we specify some configuration while provisioning the EC2 instance, right? So there could be something that might have gone wrong, like maybe AMIs. I have chosen one Amazon AMI, right? I could choose my custom AMI as well. So there could be some bug in my custom AMI. So instance, for the instance status fail, maybe there could be something wrong from our side too. But if it is systems status check failure, we can't do anything. We can just complain to AWS. Did you get now? What is the difference between system status check and instance status check?
Yeah.
Let me quickly move to the screen. So we will have AMI. From AMI, what we will create? We will create EC2 instance. So AMI is being directly or indirectly responsible for launching this EC2 instance, right? So sometimes what we can do, we could create our custom AMI, and we could create our EC2 instance. Or while creating the EC2 instance, we give various configuration, right? Custom AMI, or we could say that what like EC2 instance is the combination of configuration is the combination of AMI configuration plus initialization configuration, whatever we give, like when we are starting the EC2 instance. So a EC2 EC2 instance status check may fail because of the EC2 configuration. That means that AMI configuration might be wrong, or the initial configuration is wrong, right? So if the EC2 instance fails, maybe we are partly responsible. That we have to again take a deep dive look. But if it is system status failure, we can't do anything. Okay, so let me refresh this again. So I hope this time it would be 2 by 2. Yeah, what it is showing, 2 by 2 checks passed. That means that both the checks are passed. See, system reachability check passed and the instance reachability check passed. So we don't have to do anything here. Okay, so under the detail section, we could usually see public IP, private IP, and we could see few other details. This error, what we could do is, we can when you get this error, what you do is, Ruchi, this you could take as assignment. You can attach the relevant policy. Okay, you can try to search the policy starting with compute optimizer, and try to get rid of this error, so that you will understand how IAM works, right? Okay,
Okay. Yeah.
here we have private IP, public IP. So you try to stop the EC2 instance and try to see whether the public IP is being retained or not. The security part, we have security groups. I mean, let's talk about in the next section the security. We have networking, we have storage, we have status checks, we have monitoring, we have details and all. Yeah, for now I think we are